What drills do I like in practice to help measure progress? Well, number one is serving and passing, and especially serving. By far my favorite thing is if you can have some kind of a serve score. Tons of different ways to do this. The most basic one, if you have 11-year-olds, serve 10 balls, how many went over the net? And with 11-year-olds, it might be even, can you get a serve over from 20 feet back? And if they can, okay, let's move that tape back and serve from 22 feet back. You got it over? Okay, 24 feet back. So that's like the beginning one. That's like long jumping for serving. Where's your record? Where's the furthest back that you've ever gotten a serve over? And you're trying to work back to, okay, I've gotten an overhand serve over from the end line. Then it's how many out of 5 or how many out of 10 or how many in a row. That can be really good for young kids. Can you serve 8 balls in the court in a row, at 11 years old or 12 years old? That's great. Little kids will do that they'll do that all practice because they love and they can see their progress. And I love this question because you said, how can I help players measure their progress? Find ways to do it, and I'm going to give you a few ways, but find ways to do it for everything that you can, because players love improvement. They're addicted to improvement. Serving is the easiest way to do it. So, like I said, with beginner servers, it's how many can you get over the net and in the court out of 10 or something like that. And then as you get more advanced, you start adding to it. Okay, now you only get a point if it was a float serve. So if the ball had spin, you don't get any points for that. How many float serves can you hit out of 10? Or you put the mat down or a piece of tape or a target down. Okay, how many out of 10 can you hit in the mat? You can give them a goal for hitting serves flat. You can either put the elastic, on the top of the antenna, so you get this kind of measure of that, or you can just be the judge or they can be the judge. How many out of 10 can you hit flat? Then you can start combining them. How many out of 10 can you hit flat and at your target? How many out of 10 can you hit that are floater and flat, or a floater and flat and at your target? You can go all the way up to the elite levels of serving by just those 3 elements. So you add the serving score. So that's a great way, the core way, I think, of measuring progress. For passing, there's always a competitive element with servers, so it's a little trickier, but something that you can do is you can get here's 3 passers, a group of 3 passers, and maybe you have 4 groups on your team, 4 groups of 3 passers. Okay, you're on this group. You have 5 minutes, and the servers are serving balls at you. 5 minutes to get as many good passes in a row as you can get. So you have a 5-minute round, or a 4-minute round, or 3, or 6, or whatever the time that you determine. But say you got 5 minutes to get as many good passes in a row as you can get. In a row activities are great for measuring progress because it does 2 things. One, it's easier for me to feel that as a player. It's easier for me to kind of understand it. Sometimes it's hard to grasp. I passed 52% and now I passed 55. I kind of just get it because you showed me on the board, and that's nice, I'm improving, but it's hard for me to really feel that. But when you say, oh, my best was 4 in a row and I just got 5 in a row, I can really feel that. I really feel that improvement, and I get really excited about it. And then the second thing is, in a row activities, they teach sustained concentration, which is, as we all know, not the strength of teenagers. So we design activities that can help them with that. So how many passes in a row can you get? That's a really good one. For setters, if you're doing setting tutor, just a simple thing like if you have that little setting target, how many can you set in the target? Or you make your own target, whatever that is. If you already have one of those little uprights that go up there and they can set it to the basket, or you use a ball card, or use whatever you determine, how many in a row can you set? Setters love that kind of stuff. For attackers, you can do drills like how many kills can I get in a row against 2 blockers or against a full defense, or different things like that. That's a little tricky because there's a lot of elements to that. I gotta get a set, and if I'm hitting against good blockers, it's harder, bad blockers, it's easier, different things like that. But you can still do it if you have it consistent, which is one of the keys to anything where you're going to measure progress. They have to do it And then they have to have a chance the next practice or the next week or whatever to do it the exact same way and try to beat their score. So one thing that I see sometimes with coaches who learn about some of these drills and the ways we can score drills is they're so excited to do all of the different scoring systems that they change it every single practice. And now as a player, I have no chance to improve because I'm not doing the same thing ever again. Like, it's like if you were a weightlifter and you did a different exercise every single workout, you would have no idea whether you're getting stronger or not. So if somebody's going to bench press and they bench press 100 pounds, at some point, whether it's the next workout or the next week or whatever, they got to bench press again and see if they can get 105. So give your players opportunities, and it's great when they have now been doing that same progress 7 weeks in a row. So if you have an in-a-row passing drill and you do it once a week for 7 weeks in a row, you'd be surprised at how much they can improve. And now they get so fired up because they can see the improvement. There's also some team activities that we can improve on. A classic one that a lot of coaches use is exchange. So maybe it's 3-on-3, back row attack, over the net. How many times can we pass set hit in a row? And usually if they jump and hit, that's one. If they don't get a swing, if they just send it over, they don't go back to 0, but they just stay. So if they were at 3 and then they had to send a free ball, they're still at 3. They don't go back to 0, but they don't go to 4. And then if they make an error, they're back to 0. And a lot of times what you'll see is in the beginning, 6 or 7, and then every now and then you just see this quantum. Okay, they get 15, and then a couple weeks later they get 20. And you'd be surprised. Good high school teams, they can get up to 50 in that, and certainly collegiate teams, sometimes you can get as high as like 50 and something like that. So also don't be afraid if they've been doing it, if they've done it a couple times and they're at 4 or 5 or 6 is their record. Say, okay, and you got to be careful with this stuff, but you can say, okay, 10 is our goal, and if we don't get 10, I'm going to give you 10 minutes to get 10. If we can't get 10, we got to run 3 sprints or something like that. I mean, not anything crazy like that, but just a little thing to add a little pressure. And a lot of times the kids, they get excited about it, and as a coach, you use your judgment and you try to find something that they can probably get, and then they feel like they've really come through. So a lot of times they're excited about something like that. So the back row exchange, that's a great way to measure progress. That's something that if you had a high school or club team, you could definitely do that at least once a week and see some major progress with that as a team activity for how I can improve there. Another activity that I like that can show team progress is essentially 6-on-1. So what this is you have a 6-person team that's going to pass, set, and hit out of serve receive. So they're in rotation 1, whatever. They got their hitters, they got setter, they have passers. It's a team, and they're just getting a serve. So I say 6-on-1, but it's really like 6 on nobody because there's just a serve coming in. And if they get a pass set and a good swing, so they can't tip it, they can't roll it, they can't hit a down ball, they have to jump and hit, and you get to decide based on your level what a good swing is, they get a point. So they get 10 balls, and how many good pass set hits can we get out of 10 serves in? Now, just real quick, the downside to this is there's only 7 people being involved, right? Because you got a server and 6 people. So it's a good activity. Maybe if you have a club team where you only have 7 or 8 people that showed up to practice, which sometimes happens at club, unfortunately. Or maybe if you're a high school team and you have 2 courts to practice on. So you're the varsity team and you have 2 courts. Sometimes that does happen. And you can have 2 groups of this going at one time. Okay, so just make sure you're not having a ton of players sitting off to the side to do this drill. But if you do have an activity where you can only have 7 or 8 people to put on one court, this is great to do. Okay, so they get 10 serves, and how many good pass set hits can I get? And I love this for high school boys because the first time you do it, they will get like 2 because a lot of times their passing is so bad because in high school boys volleyball, the passing is generally the weakest skill. So sometimes they'll do this and they'll get 2 or 3 or 4. And then you don't say this to humiliate them, but you say, okay, we just lost to nobody because nobody on the other side of the net, we couldn't even get 5. We couldn't even get 5 out of 10 good swings. now you see why we have to work on passing, and then they're like, oh, okay, we can't just do hitting lines the whole time. So sometimes that's when I've coached high school boys, I like doing this drill because they can see how important passing is. And then for any level, it's a really objective measure of how many good swings can we get. And you teach them, we don't need the greatest hit ever every time. We just need a lot of good swings. We need to be really consistent at getting a good pass set hit. And also, if that pass isn't perfect, somebody's got to get a setup. So if we don't pass it to up to the setter on a good pass, say we pass it into the backcourt, we still got to get a swing on that ball. And a lot of times at like the 13, 14, 15-year-old level, the kids don't always understand it because sometimes they've done a lot of drills where the ball it's a toss or something, so the pass goes to the setter. So they just have this mindset, oh, pass to the setter who sets to the hitter that we were designed this play for. Well, we know real volleyball doesn't work like that a lot. And if we can get them out of this mindset is, no, even if the pass is not good, we're still going to get a swing on that ball. And this drill, I think helps teach that. And a good standard for, I would say, a good level team would be 8 out of 10. So that means if they serve 10 balls in the court at us, basically, well, we can't be at 20% passing error, obviously. So a good high school team would be maybe less than 10% passing errors. And then we got to be less than 10% hitting error too, because if we're over both of them, then we're not going to get 8 out of 10 good swings in the court. So this is a good measure. 8 out of 10 it would be a solid level. But don't be surprised if your team, the first time you do this, you get 3 out of 10 or you get 4 out of 10. And a lot of times this can be really enlightening for the players to say, okay, we got to sharpen up and figure out how to get some swings even when the first pass isn't perfect, or even if the set isn't perfect as a hitter, I still got to get there and hit it in.